mocking the Americans that they just put one feather in their hat and wanted to call it macaroni because they were so. But the Americans embraced this vision, and they wanted to be, yes, we are natural, we are very sincere, and we are not spoiled by this overgrowth of civilization or something like that. So they really embraced the song. So basically both of the sides of the conflict were singing the song. Okay, but I am now a little bit I digress. But okay, so the British, they had a professional army, and they really won like 70% of all the battles. And I repeat, they won 70% of the battles. And I must give some credit to the directors of the movies which concern this conflict, both in the Patriot movie with Mel Gibson and Tom Wilkinson as the British general, and Mel Gibson as the main American character in the movie, and both in this movie and the movie called Revolution with Al Pacino. It is presented in this way, that the British are basically winning like all the time, but after some time they are like because of this problem with logistics across the ocean, they started to this war machine was starting to wear down a little bit. And of course the Americans were helped very heavily by the French general Rochambeau and the French and Prussian and other volunteers earlier. So the Americans probably wouldn't have won without French and Spanish and Dutch and other support. Okay, and in all this conflict, only 1/3 of the colonists were really on the Patriot side. Patriot was a neutral term in those days, not a positive term as it's today, but it was a neutral. They were for patria, for their homeland, and it was also another neutral term, loyalist, that would be those who were on the side of the king, on the side of the British America. They wanted to continue British America, so they wanted to keep the British possession over America. And it was also, and the loyalists were also like 1/3 of the colonists, and the rest, the other 1/3, so 1/3 was patriot, 1/3 was loyalistic, and 1/3 was just observing what will happen and neutral. So it was not like all America just stood up for independence. It wasn't the case. Just like in Britain, there were many sympathizers of the American cause, although this cause was hardly understood. And the same tendencies were on both sides of the Atlantic. So this traditional view of power when the king is over everything, and this new liberal approach when the power, the political power, the government, the king and everything is also answerable to the public opinion. Maybe not to the whole of population, but to the public opinion in general, in some philosophical way, at least. So this was the main, the same conflict basically on both sides of the Atlantic. So we can call this conflict also a second British or second English Civil War. Why I use British or English? Because in those times, England, even today, when we call the United Kingdom exists from the early 19th century on. But in those times it was Great Britain, and just like we tend to simplify a little bit to use the term England for all of it, the same was done, and even more so in the 18th century. Basically calling the whole of Great Britain just England, English government, English parliament, and so on. So because really, when you see, for instance, today the population of the United Kingdom is mostly the Englishmen. So it's like